What's up, family? Commander Zulu back at you once again, and the Real Man Movement. Salute to all my subscribers, to all those who watch the channel. Give it a thumbs up, and if you are not a subscriber, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. Today here at the Real Man Movement, we're going to be dealing with what's in your mind concerning your thinking, and what's in your heart concerning what you truly believe. And how does a real man balance the two? How does he balance between his thinking and what's in his heart? Let's talk about it today here at the Real Man Movement. I salute. Let's get to it. We all back at the Real Man Movement. Brothers giving back to the community. Coaching the Little League football team. My son Isaiah there with his hands on his head. Giving them the foundation of real men. Hard work. And salute to the brothers here. Giving back to the community. Giving their time and dedication. And coaching these young kids. Real Man movement, baby. Let's talk about what's in a man's heart. And sometimes what's in his mind, his thinking pattern. What should his thinking be in association with what's in his heart? You know, it's been said, and it's a true statement, that the hardest thing to change is the way a person thinks. It's pretty easy to change how a person feels. One day they can feel one way, and the next day they can feel a totally opposite way. Well, you know, sometimes your thinking can be all over the place. But when there's something in your heart, something that you truly believe, that you really believe, and your thinking has to be connected to that belief in your heart. That's how a real man operates concerning thinking, what's in his mind and what's in his heart. There's a connection between the two. Now, there's some people that you meet who are just deceitful in their heart. And because they're deceitful, it affects their thinking. A deceitful person can make you feel a certain way. Can make you feel as though they're your friend. Can make you feel as though they are on your side. But inside their heart is nothing but a resentment. Is nothing but a different kind of understanding that is in competition, so to speak, with you. That's what's in that particular person's heart. The heart of a deceitful person. It affects their thinking. But even at times, they'll act as though they are your friend. That's a person with a deceitful heart, and whose thinking has been impacted by the deceitfulness of their heart. It's no matter what, they can't help themselves. It's no matter what you do, how good you try to be to them, it is in their heart to be deceitful. That's just one example of a person dealing with a deceitful heart that's impacting their thinking. The other side of that is that there's people with good hearts, and their intentions are good. And even when they run into people who abuse their kindness or take their kindness for weakness, it's in their heart to be good, decent, loving, supportive. It's just in their heart. And though they meet people who may try to use or misuse that, it's simply inside of that person's heart. The goodness that's inside of that person's heart affects their thinking. In other words, it doesn't mean that they're a shallow person or that they're soft or anything like that. but they have a goodness in their heart that produces a thinking. And at times they can pay the price for that thinking, for that goodness in their heart. But because it's in their heart, they can't help themselves. Just like the person who's deceitful can't help themselves from being deceitful. Because what's in their heart is affecting their thinking. What's in the heart of a good person affects their thinking as well.
Building character in these young men. Teamwork. Responsibility. Real man movement.
As a real man, we should strive to be the best individual that we can be. To be as good as we can possibly be. Doesn't mean that you're going to be perfect in everything. But inside your heart, there should be some goodness that affects and impacts your thinking. The reason the old saying says that it's hard to change the way that people think is because it's almost impossible to change what's in their hearts. That's something the individual has to do. The individual wants to really change if they are deceitful, if they are damaging other people because of their deceitfulness that's in their heart. Their deceitfulness is impacting their thinking. Everything becomes a game, so to speak. Everything becomes a situation to where they want to be put in the best position they can be and put you in the worst position. To where they want to feel a little superior than you are. It's a deceitful way. They want to use whatever they can, whatever tactic they can, against your goodness to feed their deceitfulness. And there's people like that we deal with. As a real man, you have to be able to identify that. When you're around certain people who say certain things, we have to be able to examine what's in their heart. Because I can guarantee you, even though you may say, I haven't had any problem with that person. But all you can really see coming from that person is deceitfulness. Even if it's not directed directly towards you at the time, you can see the deceitfulness in other people that they have impacted, that they have been around, that they have been associated with, and they have torn down with their deceitfulness because it's in their heart. The words mean nothing. Listen, your words mean nothing when something opposite of the words exists inside of your heart. You know, the Bible says in Proverbs 23:7, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. What does that really mean? You know, a person can think a certain way based on what's inside of their heart that is totally evil concerning you. These are the things that we really have to watch out as real men. We have to watch out for these things, because if we don't observe the heart and we simply listen to the words coming from the deceitful heart, we'll fall into the trap every time. We'll think we have a friend when we really have an enemy. We'll think we have someone that loves and supports us when we really have a person that is out to actually destroy us. The thinking. What's in that person's heart? But first ask yourself what's inside of your heart. Is it deceitfulness? And are you the kind of person that at every chance you get, your deceptive thinking Have you lying? Have you being deceitful? Have you trying to extract everything you can from an individual for your betterment only? Are you that kind of person? Do you leave people destroyed? Do you constantly hurt and break and take from people? Do you lie so much that you can't even help it yourself? You can't help it. First things come out of your mouth is a lie because that's what's in your heart. Real men, we deal with this. If you are a real man, if you are a man out there today that has a deceptive heart, where nothing but lies come out of you, where your only aim and goal is to use people for your benefit, you care nothing about the well-being of anyone else. You may say that you do, but because your heart is deceitful, you really don't mean it. It's people that can look you right in the face and say, I love you, and don't mean it at all. It's people that'll look you right in the face and say, I'm gonna pray for you, and don't pray for you at all. Because what's inside of their heart is something deceitful and selfish. It doesn't have anything to do with anyone else's well-being. Only the well-being and understanding of that person. That's what's in their heart. So their thinking is impacted directly by what's inside of their heart. Hardest thing to change in a person.
God, hey God, you get to that end, pop, free. No, get out of there.
Coach
Open
Zulu,
up, get out of there. Come on,
another real man in the community.
Pick him up.
Salute.
Pick him up. Turn and go. Hey.
Brother really gives back to his community. Being a strong example for these young men. Strong character produces strong results. Real man movement, baby.
But here at the Real Man Movement, we strive to focus on male development and encouragement of the male mindset. As a man, we should not be thinking deceitfully. We shouldn't have deception in our heart. That every person we meet, we think about how we're going to get over on them, what we're going to use them for our benefit. If you're a man that's doing that to a woman, then you're not a real man. If you are a man that uses women, that will use a woman simply because you see what you can get out of it, what you can get from her, and what you can benefit from, only. Not caring about how you mentally destroy her, physically destroy her, socially destroy her. If you do that, then your heart is full of deceit. If the first thing you look at at a woman is thinking that, look, what can I get and take from her? What can I get her to do for me? Then your heart. Your thinking will not change because that's deeply inside of your heart. Like the Bible says, Proverbs 23:7, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. As a real man, we should be full of goodness in our heart. And if you're not, we need to start. If you're not full of it, you need to get full of it right now. Meaning that you have to have a change in your hearts. Our words mean nothing. Beating a woman up, then next week telling her I'm sorry. 2 weeks later, beating her up, then telling her I'm sorry, I'm going through some things. 2 more weeks pass, beating her up. You're not a man. You are a person who has a deceptive heart. And your thinking is tainted because of your deceptive heart. I'm using that example only because it's something that is really prevalent in society concerning men, in particularly abusing women, not only physically but mentally. A real man doesn't do that. A real man stands on his own 2 feet. A real man, he supports his woman, takes care of his woman. A real man is the head. He's not the tail. A real man doesn't use a woman for anything. He can stand on his own. He doesn't use her. He doesn't have the deceitfulness in his heart to just look at a woman and say, I'm going to use her for this. I'm going to use her for that. My credit all messed up. I'm going to use her to get what I want. I'm going to put it in her name and I'm going to dog her. I'm going to abuse her. I'm going to make her do what I want her to do. If you believe that way, you are not a real man. And I'm telling you to your face if you're looking at this. Be a real man. Be responsible for your actions. Support your woman. You be the head because you're supposed to be. Don't use her. Don't abuse her. Don't psychologically defeat her. But if you have that in your heart, that's what you're going to do to every person you meet. Not only women, but to weak men who allow you to do it as well. They'll actually look, there's some weak men, some men that are so weak that when they meet a deceitful man who controls their thinking and whose thinking is so corrupt because deceitfulness is coming from out of his heart, these men actually follow that man. And they actually applaud his foolishness. If you are a person that fits that description, and you're following someone who has a deceitful heart, who is abusive, who is the kind of man that they're thinking this won't change because of what's in their heart. If you follow that, then you're not a real man either. You are a follower, and you are following foolishness.
Real man movement, baby.
Here at the Real Man Movement, one thing in particular that I always emphasize is that a man has to know how to stand as a man. You see these videos? This should help us understand where we stand as real men. We always self-examine first and ask ourselves, am I operating as a real man concerning this situation? Do I have something in my heart that produces deceitfulness? That produces destruction? The only thing on my mind is how I can use a person, strip them of their integrity, and benefit as much as I can from them and their hurt, their failure. If you are not a real man. In order to be a real man, you must address the issues inside of your heart. You can't just change your thoughts without changing what's in your heart, because it will never come out the right way. What's in your heart today? Examine what's in your heart. Is it goodness or is it deceitfulness? None of us are perfect. And if you are a person that produces deceitfulness, listen, if you don't think you understand that you are producing deceitfulness, just look around you. Look at your children. Look at the baby mothers. Look at the women around you. Have you left them broken? Do they hate you? Do your children really love you and respect you? Well, if not, there's some things that's going on inside of your heart that you need to address, to be man enough to address, and change your thinking. The only way you change your thinking is by changing what's in your heart. That's what a real man does. We attack the real problems, the strong issues. We face them. We don't run from them. So whatever's in your heart is going to directly impact your thinking. Remember that. Let's always be a real man. Listen, the world loves a real man. The fact that the masculinity of men is being challenged in the society we live in today, and is also being degraded in this society. Men, a lot of so-called men think they can just simply act anyway, and that it should be acceptable. You cannot act anyway and you be accepted as being a real man. There's a responsibility associated with being a real man. So let's do that today. Our thinking versus what's in our heart. Thank you for rocking with the Tank Commander Zulu. I salute you once again here at the Real Man Movement. Stay tuned. We have big things coming. Remember, if you're not a subscriber, you need to subscribe today. Hit the subscribe button. And when you hit the subscribe button, there's a little bell icon. You hit that as well. So everything that the Tank Commander's doing, you'll be able to see it. You'll be able to support us in the Real Man Movement. Listen, everything starts with unity. Let's unite. Let's bring back masculinity, the masculinity of a man, also the responsibility of being a man. Once again, I salute. Until next time, Tank Commander Zulu, signing out.